Oh, what a day it was. It felt back. I don't remember the year, but there was a year or two stretch where there was like 50 trades, it felt like. And it had slowed down a little bit. I remember last year, all the deals went down before the deadline day. And Duthie almost didn't go to work at TSN. But today we got some action. Even though there was some stuff that happened prior this week, we at least had some excitement as the day wound down. Or the deadline wound down.
I remember this as the biggest deadline day of all time. Maybe not as far as like big names, but every team, at least in the East, I felt like every team added a solid defenseman and at least a guy up front. And in some cases, with a team out West, adding a Vezina winning goaltender.
Yep, the big name went Monday, Marc-Andre Fleury. The last couple of days, we started hearing his name associated with Minnesota quite a bit, and it turned out there was something there because Billy G dealt for his old teammate Monday. He sent the Blackhawks a conditional second-round pick that would become a first-rounder if Minnesota makes the Western Conference Finals and Marc-Andre Fleury accounts for 4+ wins in the first 2 rounds. To make room for him, the Wild sent Kaapo Kähkönen, goaltender, to San Jose for defenseman Jacob Middleton. Minnesota also added Nicholas Deslauriers from Anaheim, tough guy there, for a 3rd and 23. But first off, Marc-Andre to Minnesota. Again, this is something we didn't really start hearing rumblings until a couple days ago, and now it's happened.
It's a great deal. Biz went on record saying that Minnesota is his sleeper team. It's his 5th team now, but let me tell you.
Sleeper team out West.
Okay, so you still got to pick your sleeper team out East, and that'll be 6 teams, but I'm with you, Biz. And I actually didn't really respect or understand how good of a season Minnesota had been having until I really went over some stats that you mentioned. And they're 3rd in the league in wins right now, I believe, or 3rd in the conference at least. They got 36 wins. I think they're only behind Colorado and Calgary. Their offense, I didn't realize, was as good as
fourth for goals for.
Fourth for goals for in the NHL. So scoring is not too much of an issue. They got 2 great lines that could score. They got a big-ass line with Foligno and Greenway, and they can run amok, and they can play physical, and they can beat you up. And goaltending had been an issue. And so all of a sudden, when you hear Fleury maybe didn't want to go anywhere, and he's uprooted his family so many different times lately, and I really think the fact that him and Billy Guerin had won a Stanley Cup before and had a relation, and Grinelli did a good job mentioning Ray Sherrill is now a part of the Wild staff, and he's got a familiarity with Marc-Andre. Maybe that was a big factor. And also the case where Chicago is a pretty close flight. You know, you could shoot back to see your family. If you do have a day off, they can come up and see you. If they're not going there, I don't know. Maybe they are moving with them. But what a move. A power move from a team who you said really had to go for it this year because of the cap hits they're going to get crushed with the next 2 seasons.
Well, I mean, I was on doing a couple Sportsnet hits, and Kelly Rudy mentioned that Cam Talbot truly believes he's a number 1 and wasn't sure how maybe he would feel about the fact that they felt that they needed maybe to add an extra guy as far as goaltending. Well, if there's one guy who can come in and calm things as a netminder when surrounded by goaltending controversy, so to speak, it's Marc-Andre Fleury. He dealt with it in Pittsburgh with Matt Murray. They went to the conference finals against Ottawa. I believe it was in Game 7. He handed the reins over to Murray. He took over, won Game 7, and then we don't even need to talk about the Vegas Golden Knights situation. So I see it as a 1A, 1B situation. Some of you people who heard me talk about the Mrazek Campbell 1A, 1B situation are saying, shut the fuck up with the 1A, 1B. Fuck you. We'll get to that later.
Mrazek's on waivers.
But
unclaimed.
But they solidify in the fact that, let's say Talbot continues to have struggles, they can lean on Fleury and vice versa. You do have a 1A, 1B type of situation. Now, one of the other issues that Minnesota was having was on the penalty kill and with the amount of goals that they've been giving up lately in general. We can't just throw the goaltending under the bus. And with the penalty kill, and you mentioned with the connection to Billy G and Ray Shero, maybe one of the reasons why Minnesota ended up being the team was the fact that he was let in on some inside information as to not only do we have this team who can provide a bunch of offense, 4th in the league as far as goals scored, we are going to go address the things that we need to address. The penalty kill. They pick up Jost. He can help out on the penalty kill, right? They're one of the worst teams on the penalty kill, especially as of late. Then they go pick up Deslauriers, and then a surprise pickup, I would say, from the San Jose Sharks, a name that wasn't really being thrown out there quite a bit, was Middleton.
Solid defensive defenseman.
Solid defensive defenseman. If you look at his analytic numbers, I'm not the analytics guy, but not only eye test, but everything confirms that he's a guy who they can lean on in that category. So bingo bango. They address all the issues they need to do, not the top 6 forwards. And you mentioned that big line of Foligno and Greenway. Well, who do they got in the middle? Eriksson Ek. He's a fucking monster too. So they are big. They're mean. They have big, mean guys who can play, and then they add Delorier to the mix to where now the other bigger players who are leaned on more as far as the play is concerned can worry more about the playing, and if the fisticuffs need to occur, off to Delorier. So Billy G, and I said it, we know they're getting 14 sheets the next 2 years onto their cap because of the buyouts. They're getting ruined. This year, it's only 4.7. He addressed every single issue they needed to address, and Billy G had the best deadline of any GM in the National Hockey League. Keep the fucking change.
Wow. I mean, it's hard to argue. Going out and getting Fleury is that big of a move where I got some other teams in mind that we'll get to in terms of having great deadlines, but I do respect the hell out of Minnesota and Guerin going all in, because as a fan base, when you've had the season they've had, even with the recent struggles, it's like, oh, please get us a little bit of help. Do something here, and boom, he went out and did a bunch.